I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the
homegrowns.
The ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have, and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
How many times has he seen somebody get pushed into a subway? Anyway, that was President Donald Trump during an interview with Fox Noticias saying he would love to deport what he is calling homegrown criminals to prisons in El Salvador. And in case it's unclear what he means by homegrown criminals, he's referring to anti-Trump, anti-Israel activists. In other words, people he doesn't like who are exercising their rights to free speech. Cenk, do I have that right?
Yeah, and so this is super dangerous. Now they're coming for US citizens. And I'm intensely curious about how right-wingers are going to react to this. And we have some evidence to that regard. We'll get to that in a second, including my rage about Trump. But first, let's hear more.
Can't wait for the rage, Cenk. All right, so don't worry. Even though the president is trying to disappear citizens to El Salvador, it's actually really nice down there. That is what I keep hearing from Trump. Take a look.
He's made it a very safe place. People go and they feel very secure and safe. He's also built one, but other also prisons, very big ones. And we're using his system because we're getting rid of our criminals from out of the United States that were allowed to come in by Biden. We're getting them out. And the president is helping us with that, President Bukele. So I was very impressed with him, really very impressed. Great guy.
So the problem with all of this, apart from the incredibly obvious, is that it might not actually be legal to just send people to an El Salvador prison. So here is US Attorney General Pam Bondi being interviewed by Jesse Waters on Fox News. He asked her about the legality of all of this, and she says not a whole lot.
Now, the president was musing about sending some of the most horrible people in this country down to that mega prison. You know, people that push ladies into subways and hit old ladies with baseball bats to the head. Is that legal to do? Is that something you're allowed to do?
Well, Jesse, these are Americans who he is saying who have committed the most heinous crimes in our country. And crime is going to decrease dramatically because he has given us a directive to make America safe again. These people need to be locked up as long as they can, as long as the law allows. We're not going to let them go anywhere. And if we have to build more prisons in our country, we will do it.
Right. That's what I thought.
But she never actually answers the question as to whether or not any of this would be legal. Instead, she just reiterates some Trump administration talking points because that seems to be working for them. Because again, who cares if something is illegal as long as the American people support it, as long as they're able to get away with it. So here is another clip from Fox and Friends where the hosts are speaking in support of Bukele's policies in El Salvador. His policies, which as I mentioned in the last story, they have been repeatedly flagged by international watchdog organizations for human rights violations. Take a look.
Look what's happening in El Salvador. They love this president down there because he has made it so much safer. You talk to anyone who is here from El Salvador, and they will say, when we go back home, it is so much safer. Right. They would bring money from America, and people would shake them down for that money. People who are working here legally or here citizens, they send money back home, and then their parents are in jeopardy. They have to live in poor conditions because if they show that they're getting money from their daughter who works in America, then they're at risk, but not anymore. The neighborhoods are cleaned up because of this president. So, and it's because if you get caught doing something illegally down there, you're thrown in these maximum security prisons, right, and you're treated the way you see these videos. If we did that here in America, maybe the crime would go down even more.
Well, and the president mentioned that yesterday. They might do something with the homegrowns, people from the United States. I don't know exactly how that would work. More on that throughout
legally,
the day.
That might be challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cenk, if we didn't already live in a prison state, Trump of all people is trying to lock up more so-called criminals, and they're only so-called criminals because the Trump administration doesn't seem to think that due process is important anymore. But it is actually shocking to hear American newscasters discussing Bukele's policies, specifically regarding these prisons, and acting like this is something that we need to bring here to the United States, because again, This has been flagged by so many human rights organizations because there are clear violations here.
Yeah, so look, El Salvador's prisons are their business, not our business. So it's not wrong that Bukele's become popular in El Salvador and he's locked up a whole bunch of people and had human rights abuses, etc. That's for the good people of El Salvador to deal with. We have prisons here. We don't send US citizens to other countries because what, did we run out of prisons? Are our prisons weak and failing and everybody's constantly escaping from our prisons? No, our prisons are plenty tough. A lot of them are actually hellholes. But almost no one ever escapes from them. With our maximum security prisons are the best in the world in terms of security. So why do we need to send people to a foreign dungeon? We don't. And is it legal? It's not even close to legal. Of course it's not legal. Even Pam Bondi, who got the job for being a professional ass kisser to Donald Trump, couldn't quite fully kiss his ass on that one because of course it's not legal to send US citizens. Okay, if you're on the right wing and you say, yeah, but I know, but they're really bad guys. That doesn't mean anything, guys. Like, they're really bad guys. They push someone into a subway. Okay, good. Then let's give them an attempted murder charge, or if the person was killed, a murder charge. Then let's have a debate about if that should be life in prison without parole or that should be the death sentence. Those are legitimate debates you have inside the country, right? What is not legitimate is, oh, that was a bad crime, so let's just trash our constitution and our laws, not do due process, pick up that person, send him to El Salvador. And by the way, now Trump says we can't ever get him back. Even if it's the wrong guy, we can't get him back. Okay, and so, oh wait, you didn't do due process. Oh, turns out you picked up the wrong guy at the subway. The bad guy's actually out in the loose, and the good guy's in El Salvador dungeon and you can't get him back. Well, it doesn't matter because we're getting the bad guys. No, that's against our constitution, against our laws for a very good reason. Due process is one of the pillars of Western civilization. It's so ironic that the people that think they're in favor of Western civilization are now saying, yeah, let's chop down Western civilization. Who cares about due process? Who cares about the courts? Who cares if you're a US citizen? Let's just break all the laws. It's just madness. So on that Fox News one, where they're like, oh, and did you know how bad MS-13 is? See, what they're doing is they're trying to trick you by conflating two different issues. Yes, MS-13 is terrible. Yes, the crimes that Trump was talking about are terrible. That's not the question at all. The question is, what are we going to do with our citizens? Okay, now if you're on the right and you're still not convinced, well, be careful what you wish for, because if Trump's policy that he's stating he loves, he's now said it 2 or 3 times super clearly, completely clearly, right? If that was in place earlier, the Biden administration could have sent all the January 6 guys to El Salvador. Bye-bye. And oh, sorry, can't get them back. Can't get them back. Oh, some of them were innocent? Who cares? Who cares? Oh, we didn't do due process. We just rounded up a bunch of the guys who went to the Trump rally. Some of them didn't even go to the Capitol. So what? We don't do due process anymore. We don't believe in the US Constitution anymore. We don't believe in Western civilization anymore. So what? I sent a bunch of innocent Trump MAGA guys to El Salvador. Oh, they got killed down there by the MS-13 inside that hellhole. That's so what? We don't do due process anymore. And if you say, well, okay, well, I know, but I really want to send some people down to El Salvador, but I see what you're saying about the January 6th guys. Wait, hold on, I got one better for you. And this is what I see screaming from the far right of MAGA all over social media. If they're convicted, so what? If they're convicted, so what? Okay? You know who was convicted? Donald J. Trump. He's a convicted felon. You can say, oh, that was lawfare and you're super mad about it, but he was just picked up accidentally. He wasn't the wrong guy. He had a whole trial and a jury of his peers found him guilty. And you can say, I hate that result. Doesn't matter, convicted. Oh, if you go to El Salvador, oh, he wants to come back and run for president. That's a shame. We can't bring him back. Nothing we could do. Well, I mean, he's a US citizen, who cares? You destroyed the Constitution, you lit it on fire. So, oh, you thought that it was just you guys. And by the way, is that what you think if you're on that side of the right? oh, as long as we're getting rid of the Constitution, but it's okay, we'll just apply to the left, we'll just apply to people we hate. And then if the other side ever wins, we will bring the Constitution back, we want our rights back, don't tread on me, right? But all of a sudden, when you're in charge, tread away, tread away. Who cares about the Constitution? Light it on fire, now we're pro-dungeons. Okay, not exactly principled. Now, this is huge and very important. So I keep telling you on this show, hold on, blame Trump, blame the leaders, right? But let's see, do his voters actually agree with him? And I say, remember, there's hard right MAGA, and yeah, they're all over social media. They're the ones going, who cares? Screw US citizens, screw the Constitution, send them down to El Salvador, right? But then there's, other portions of MAGA, and then there's the independents, and there's the people who voted based on inflation and immigration. So that whole spectrum, do they agree or do they not agree, all the Trump voters? So I asked online, so tons of people saying, yeah, they agree with Trump. A whole bunch of people saying they don't. I can't really quite tell. You can go at Cenk Uygur and see if you can tell what the percentage is there. I can't, right? But that's under my account, right? And my account is a complicated one. It's got independents, it's got right wing, it's got left wing, it's got everybody, right? Tim Pool, now he would claim he's not right wing, but I'd be surprised if there were a lot of non-Trump voters in Tim Pool's audience. So he did a poll on X, take it for what it's worth, definitely not scientific, but that's his audience that almost certainly greatly voted for Donald Trump. The overwhelming majority voted for Donald Trump. Over 21,000 votes as we stand right now live on the show, and 51% say the US should not send, we should not send US criminals to foreign prisons in any capacity. 49% say yes, send them. Is that good enough? Do we like that? 50-50? No, not nearly good enough. It should be 98-2, and 2 being, institutionalized, right? But 50-50 in a group that largely voted for Trump, saying no, he's wrong, and we should not send US citizens to that. Again, not definitive. It's just one data point. But so that gives me a little bit of relief that MAGA and all of Trump voters are not lockstep here. And that's super important, because in order for Trump to turn around from anything, it has to be very unpopular, and he has to lose a part of his voters and his base. And it looks like, for the moment being, just kind of on day 2 here, that even a lot of the guys who say, well, if he's undocumented, then I don't care, are saying if he's a US citizen, then we shouldn't. Tiny bit of relief on that. Now, it has to affect Trump. If it doesn't affect Trump and he starts sending US citizens to El Salvador, it won't matter. But my guess is, as we're already seeing in the national polling, his numbers are starting to go down, down, down. Why are they going down? Not because he lost the left, because he had already lost the left. That didn't change at all. He's starting to lose some of his voters. He's certainly losing independents, and his popularity is getting battered by these ludicrous, ridiculous, unconstitutional suggestions that he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the part that Pam Bondi wasn't saying in her answer to Jesse Waters was that as long as they can convince enough people that these brown-looking people are actually gang members and terrorists, then they can and will do what they need to eradicate the threat that they insist is a real threat. That's what she's saying, is that they have a directive now from the president to take care of the crime and the gang violence and all of the terrorism that's happening all around us, right? I didn't know, because I hadn't experienced it myself. I hadn't seen it. I haven't seen it in the news, but they keep telling us that this is a real, active, very dire threat that we're dealing with right now. So they're acting like these people are foreign spies from like an adversarial government that we're currently at war with, which is not the current situation, no matter how Pam Bondi tries to spin it. And even in those types of situations, suspending things like the Bill of Rights, like the Constitution, like due process, it's still highly controversial. So all of this rhetoric that's happening around whether or not we should even be sending American citizens without due process to a foreign prison, it's insane that we're even having polls where people are like, yeah, do it, just send them. Because if you get the audience, if you get the people scared enough of something that's out there, just some nebulous something that's out there that they themselves can't even pinpoint, then they will say, you know what, do what you gotta do, and I'm giving you full reign, and I'm not gonna get in your way.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. totally not true. But it does keep you updated on our live shows.